one win with the new talent they have, then maybe just give it up.
Then they deserve to be relegated to the Missouri Valley Conference.
They're definitely
Cleveland State comes out.
They're definitely getting one win.
Or put them up in the CFL so Johnny Manziel can get a win.
Seriously, if they can't get one win with, damn Jarvis Landry and David Njoku and like all of the running backs they've got, I don't know what to say, Josh Gordon. If they can't get one win with that team, either the referees are conspiring against them or, Josh Gordon's been sharing whatever he's got. So
they're definitely getting one win. There's no doubt about that.
You think Baker Mayfield starts a game this year? Or do you think Tyrod Taylor's going to...
Maybe. It depends. Tyrod's good enough to hold the starting position, but the Browns, you don't draft a guy number one and with the idea of him sitting for very long. So they're in a curious situation. I'm kind of interested to see how that's going to play out. And I think it also will depend on the outcomes of some games. Losing Joe Thomas is obviously a crusher, but I don't know that it will be the brick that's pulled in the Jenga tower to drop the whole thing.
I don't think so either. I think, quite honestly, I think the Browns are looking at a pretty decent season, especially considering...
their game against Buffalo this past week, which we won, by the way.
It's preseason.
Still.
Winning doesn't matter in the preseason. Oh, really quickly, another I can't rant.
Nick Chubb had a good outing.
Preseason is good for two things. One, to watch for any battles that you might have, like the Jets have a quarterback. Mm-hmm. Actually, it's three things that you watch preseason for. The position battles. Two, to make sure your starters look like they're getting back into shape. And three, to make sure your depth doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, but...
wins don't matter in preseason.
Wins can boost confidence overall going into the regular season.
No!
Why not?
No team has ever been like, you know what? We went 4-0 in the preseason. We're looking pretty damn good. Unless you're the Lions and you go 0-16 for the actual season. Didn't the Browns go 4-0 in preseason last year?
I was just looking that up. Because I know the year that the Giants won the Super Bowl, they went like 0-4 in the preseason.
Yeah, so preseason success means nothing. And I think that the preseason needs to be cut down by a game. They need to throw in an extra bye week and make the players stop crying about having to play on Thursdays. There you go. Problem solved. You only play on a Thursday after a bye week.
Yeah.
How about that?
You could do that, but
you just
take away a preseason game, start the season 1 week earlier. Fans will be happy. Players don't have to play more games.
You're still... Listen, that's ideally how it would work out, but I'm sure there's a lot more that goes into the NFL scheduling than that. That's an easy fix, but I don't know that necessarily equates to an NFL's ideal version of a schedule.
Right, it probably doesn't. Although, you'd get an extra week of televised games. So that's more revenue. Unless
I guess, but game numbers aren't high for the Thursday Night Football anyway. And that's their own doing when you put the Ravens against the Browns.
Well, I think the ratings for Thursday nights would go up if players actually cared about it. Because they don't want to get hurt, so they're not really trying as hard. Patrick Sherman, what the hell am I saying? Richard Sherman had pointed out that they're coming off of a game on Sunday. They have to travel back home, get a practice, travel to the next game, get half a practice, and then play. So if they had a full bye week before that Thursday night game, players would care more. The level of competition would go way up on the Thursday nights. And players would complain
You
less.
could make that argument, but the game still matters. Because when it comes down to situations like the Bills needing the Bengals to win, well, if you cared on that Thursday night game you played, maybe you wouldn't have to worry about that. Because the game's still going to matter. We do see this league go down to the last games that are happening. Even teams that aren't even involved in the last games needing other things to break out their way.
Unless you're in the AFC East. Then the Patriots have it by week 4.
fair for now.
Perfect example. They looked like shit against the Jets last year. Remember?
They did.
They should have blew them away. That
I mean, you can make the argument, but the NFL's not going to backtrack on Thursday night, so the players can deal with it or they can complain. But I'm sure that the NFL doesn't give a shit.
No, but I think, again, I know scheduling is probably difficult because why make anything easy? But I think if the NFL were to cut preseason down by one game, institute a second bye week, there would be less injuries. There would be more players excited to play on Thursday night in a primetime game. How many times do you hear players complaining about playing in primetime games?
Well, but it's
Thursday
still
night.
not going to cut down the arguments that they have. Less time to train. It screws up travel because we have to go earlier. It screws up our game plan. It screws up my rituals. The first thing I could give a shit less about is the players' rituals.
But I'm sure if someone
Like,
said,
that is the worst argument you can pose to me on television. If you say that, I have now checked out to everything you're following after this.
that's a good point. But I think the issue that Richard Sherman and so many others brought up is they're afraid they're going to get injured because they haven't had time to recover. That bye week before eliminates that worry.
Yeah, I guess, but they're still going to complain and bitch about something. That's always going to be the mentality of these people, especially Richard Sherman. He bitches about anything and everything. Yeah, he complains about anything he can get his hands on.
I can't wait to see the 49ers play the Seahawks.
I'm surprised he's not complaining that he can't use straws anymore. I'm going to be completely honest with you. He seems like a straw type of guy. Like in a Coke can.
Yes.
Maybe in a Gatorade, too.
God, I do not understand why people put straws in a can. Like, it is literally already convenient.
So, some people have sensitivity issues with your teeth or disability. I get the need for them. Whatever. I just drink it out of a can like
It's
a
New
dog.
York City people. It's city people who do it.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't care.
Walking
It's got
around-
nothing to do with it. Richard Sherman sucks.
Walking around talking about this is brick, that is brick. Now it's cold. Stop it. With your frisbee throwing ass and your I only eat wraps and paying all this money to go to the dining hall and then getting only a glass of water to drink. You're paying for that soda. Drink it.
Maybe it's a health reason. Why are we talking about this?
Because Richard Sherman complains.
Yeah, but now it's just you. About city people, apparently.
What am I to say?
Well, you've said a lot about city people. And wraps and glasses of water, anyway.
That
This has nothing to do with the AFC North.
that there damn city folk.
Nothing.
Richard Sherman has nothing to do with the AFC North. But anyways, Tyrod versus Mayfield, I think is going to be one of the more intriguing battles. Tyrod screws up, you're going to have people calling for Baker Mayfield to be the starter. Whether that's fair to Tyrod or not, that's what's going to happen.
I mean, you think about it, Tyrod, unbeknownst to most people, has been a top 10 fantasy quarterback because he puts up numbers and he's consistent on what he does. It's not going to be easy for Mayfield to take that role from him.
The only reason he puts up such crazy fantasy numbers is because he gets more points because he runs a lot.
That helps, but he's also putting up consistent numbers and touchdowns and passing yards as well. And it may not light up a stat sheet, but when you have a guy that can do all of it all around, I mean, it's kind of the perfect situation to Mayfield to be under, if anybody, because it's kind of his MO anyway.
Exactly. Just chaos. Just hope something works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mayfield seems to make it happen when those things happen.
Yeah. Unless they play against the Houston Cougars, then can't make shit happen.
Yeah, well, Oklahoma sucks.
Yep, I agree they do. Anyways, the Browns passing on Des Bryant. Really? Really, Des?
I mean,
You can't even get a job with the worst team in the NFL? Shit, man, it's time you retire.
I mean, that being said, it's not.
They make me shit my britches too.
Yeah.
It's not like they have an absolute need for him. I mean, they have Landry now who catches everything. You have Josh Gordon who's an animal even though he takes 2 years off still. And
I don't think he took 2 years off by choice.
No, but that being said, after 2 years, he just hops in like he was like, "Hey guys, I'm back, and by the way, I'm still a problem." And then you have the rookie who is showing sparks where he is. I mean, Dez, where do you fit him? And especially with his diva persona, you don't think he's going to complain?
You know where you fit him? Slot receiver. That's all he's good for now.
I guess, but Dez is more of a run and go get it type of dude. He's not going to run those quick little in routes. It's just not happening.
But that's like all he was catching for the last 3 years. And I know the argument is, well, he's had Dak Prescott for 2 of those years. But even when he still had Tony Romo, he wasn't running routes the same, so he wasn't getting any separation or openings. So the only thing that he could get a touch on is a quick slant in.
I mean, that being said, he did have the catch that wasn't a catch that was a catch in Green Bay, and that was a bomb. So, I mean, it's not like he wasn't
that was like
doing
6-7 years ago, wasn't it?
No, couldn't have been that long. No way.
I mean, I don't know exactly how long ago it was, but it was quite a
4
while.
years,
4
maybe.
years, maybe?
But even still, I mean, you had... I just don't see where he fits because they have guys that can already do that.
I agree.
They don't have a need for him, which is strange to hear the Cleveland Browns say they don't have a need for somebody. They could use anybody. But really, he doesn't fit in there, and you don't need to bring him in to have him potentially complain. I wouldn't need that headache.
No.
So, I'm not surprised that they don't pass on it.
Exactly. It's not
He'll
like he's...
get an opportunity somewhere because wide receivers will go down. This happens. Somebody's going to be like, hey, we could use him.
See, I thought that, but I'm not so sure anymore. I know where you're coming from, and obviously some big receiver is going to get hurt, get suspended, whatever it might be. But it just seems like the ultimate slap in the face to an NFL player of high caliber, quote-unquote high caliber, is to be turned down by the team that didn't win a game last season.
It can be, but again, you've got to evaluate it from a standpoint of what the team needs, and they don't need him. They didn't even need Corey Coleman. They traded him.
They did.
So, I mean, and Corey Coleman's a solid wide receiver. I think he was just getting lost in the shuffle with what's going on in Cleveland.
Not to be confused with Gary Coleman.
Obviously not. Two completely different people.
Yeah, very...
I mean, just obviously. If you don't know that, you need to Google Gary Coleman.
Different strokes for different folks.
Yes. Different strokes, apparently, in fucking Cleveland.
Yeah. Let's see. Josh Gordon's back, as we had mentioned. Do you expect Josh Gordon to be as good as Dan O'Shea expects him to be?
I do. With a full season under his belt, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's certain games where he's never going to be, he's going to get 80 yards and a touchdown and you're not going to be super excited, but there is any possibility on any given night that he goes for 150 with 3. I mean, we've seen him catch 200-yard games. He's a big guy and he's not easy to bring down. He's quick.
And
which a guy that size really shouldn't be that fast.
He catches like anything thrown near him.
Yeah, that's always been his MO. He just can't get his life off the field together.
Yeah. Correct.
But I mean, I guess he's trying to do that. He made sure that he focused on his personal well-being before going to training camp. And quite frankly, do you really need him at training camp? Dude was off for 2.5 years, came back, and didn't miss a beat. So I don't think the training camp's really going to crush him.
I am a big believer in I want all of my starters to play at least one down.
Yeah, but at a certain time, there's certain people where it's really almost not necessary. Like, nobody's questioning what Ezekiel Elliott can do in Dallas. Like, does he really need to be there as long as he's in shape? Probably not.
Well, I mean, more so for their benefit, because if he is hitting the weight room and whatnot, and he's not getting live game speed experience, everyone else might be game ready, and he's not.
I mean, I think most of the people are game ready when it comes down to it. Because, again, even the starters, you're not seeing them go full bore when they're in preseason. That doesn't happen. It happens for one game. If you really need the starters there, it's probably